Good afternoon and welcome back to another ironic introduction to another video. Today, if you caught my live stream, you know I got stuck on this King Groot on 6.4.2. I was trying to take him down with Hulkbuster and or Sentinel, and I know Hulkbuster can do this fight, so I was pretty determined to use him here, just because I'd already gone through the whole path, and I was pretty confident I could do it. I just kept on messing up. Now, I'm using Hulkbuster instead of Sentinel here, partially because my Sentinel's unawakened, so he's harder to ramp, but also partially because Hulkbuster is not a robot, so he has access to willpower healing. You can see here, blocked hits account for a ton of damage. But if King Groot has Furies active and you take a special one, you actually get a permanent armor break on yourself, which will give you a ton of healing with willpower healing, allowing you to sustain your way through the chip damage and then just very slowly hack out your kill here with Hulkbuster. Now, there are many other better options here, but again, I was fairly confident I could do it with Hulkbuster as long as I practiced enough. I'm not the kind of person who's going to jump in here over and over again until I get a one-shot. I'll just, unit man my way through the way I do most difficult content in the game because, hey, that's what they're there for. I grind a ton of arena, and I'm not trying to prove anything. So you can see here, essentially what you're doing is every time he has the Furies, you're just parrying and or dexing out special ones if you'd rather do that to avoid the chip damage. And then once all the Furies are gone and he's on this regeneration, you spam heavies with Hulkbuster. You can see here, I play overly aggressive, trying to hit into his block and stuff. That's my mistake. And I'm actually going to make a lot of mistakes trying to figure out this fight. It's just a lot longer. Constantly having the tenacity stun drop off from King Groot because of the Furies definitely trips me up. And just the pressure of the block damage is really, really scary overall. But it's not a challenging fight as long as you have willpower, as long as you're patient, all things that, well, the patient part I don't have. So here again, I'm going to jump in and try. I don't get a good run until a little bit later, but this is essentially the entirety of the fight. Let's see. I don't think I can speed this up. I probably should have, but that's okay. So essentially, you just get him down to the regen phase. Once he's there, then you throw your shotgun with Hulkbuster. Now I can get regular damage in. I prefer to bait out the special ones because they're not as punishing, but actually later on, I take a special 2 to the face just to see how bad that would be, and it's actually not that bad. So now that he's got the Fury, my goal here is to actually take a special 1 so that I can get that permanent armor break. Here he's being really passive and not throwing the special, ends up getting me up against the wall, and this is no good. At some point I probably should have just pushed him to a special 2, but I actually wasn't sure how much block damage the special 2 would be, so I was playing really scared. It's not until later that I find out it's not that bad on a rank 4 Hulkbuster. The special 2 damage, it's a good amount. I think it was 10 to 12%, but it's still tankable, right? You don't have to fear it the way I was playing, especially if you know you're gonna get that special 1 to the face eventually. The willpower will carry you through. The only issue here is you do need to heal up. You don't have to heal up to full, really only 50 or 60%, tanky enough to take a special 1 to the face essentially. So you go back in, but I'm healing up to full because I need that extra bit of confidence. So again, parry start, you expect tenacity. He throws his block up, so I'm trying to push him up into the corner so that when I do remove all the Furies, I can just repeatedly parry heavy him. Because Hulkbuster is able to heavy corner if King Groot is under that bar of power. So now I've got him over here, and you can see both the power sting and the poison. I'm still actually recovering health with willpower, which is really, really, really nice. I dash in to take the armor break. It does do a really good chunk of your health, so be mindful. But that armor break is going to be clutch later on as I'm healing up constantly throughout the fight. King Groot is as well. Shock is placed. He's still got that regen, so now I'm getting him into the corner. And here, he throws out the special 1. As long as he's in that regen phase, you are trying to get your damage in, trying to get as many shocks in as possible, because that's really where a lot of your damage will come from. Yes, while that shock is active, you get regular damage, but Hulkbuster doesn't hit too crazy hard, so I'd rather scale as many shocks as possible. And actually, the ideal scenario for me is to place a shock towards the end of his regen cycle, so that you can get damage in while he's still in the Fury phase. And honestly, in a perfect world, you want to get him cornered so that when the power sting drops off, you can throw your heavies. Or your specials, really, to get the most amount of damage. But I actually get a semi-decent rotation in here now that I'm comfortable. You can see that I'm healing up, not doing too bad. The Furies are keeping it nice and light. The special one, super easy to dex, like I said. Really all this fight takes is a pretty good deal of patience. I think if I came back in multiple times, I could probably get the one shot here. Now that he's in the corner, you can see there, I probably should have doubled heavied. I just wasn't sure. I thought I was going to push him to a bar of power. I ended up not doing so. So I get some 4 solid shocks on here. They each chicken for like 130-ish. Which is a good amount of damage. It's definitely mitigating the heal, plus the regular damage from the heavy is really, really nice. Scales well with the Despair Mastery that I'm running 2 points in. Tick off the Fury there. And you can see here, even with the crazy amount of block damage, willpower healing is keeping me relatively healthy. And I'm getting a pretty good amount of damage here on Groot in the long run. I mean, no matter who you bring, it's a pretty long fight. This Groot's got 80,000 PI. He's fairly tanky, and with Thunderstruck, you don't really have a large roster of options that you can bring in. Now, you can bring Doom. I know a lot of people said bring Doom, because I think he would be easier to use in this scenario, especially when you drop the shock, you get bigger damage. My thing with Doom is that he's armor break immune. And then there's the power stings. So the power stings make it so you have to kind of like really, really watch out for when you throw your specials. For me, I don't want to do that. One, you can't really benefit from willpower healing from the permanent armor break, which I think is a really, really nice benefit to this fight, just having that added like overall sustain. You can see I get so much healing here. I'm already past 50%. I was like all the way down to like 20% earlier on in this fight. But also, Hulkbuster, I don't ever have to throw specials. Like, if an opportunity pulls up, I absolutely can, but I never feel like I have to. It's only like when I see a really good opening that I actually do, and even then, you just get a lot of good damage just by playing this nice and slow. Yes, it's a long, tedious fight, but it's easy. I think that's the emphasis. So yeah, Hulkbuster's a really, really good have here. Here there are a lot of other good options, but after the buff, I think this is probably one of the best, just because of willpower. That's the thing I emphasize most. So that's it. That's really the rest of the fight. I'll probably spend the rest of the time just dictating. Here, I wasn't being watchful. I did throw my special with the power sting, so you can see just how that absolutely wrecked my life, and I wasn't ready for that at all. Thankfully, Hulkbuster's Awakened ability I do have, so I do get a bit of my health back there, which is really, really, really nice. And I've gotten sub 50%. I've actually gotten, I think, 40% so far on this one health, one life, which is really, really good. I don't think I finish him off here, but I could be completely wrong. I just don't remember, to be honest. Yeah, I dashed back too early there. So I'm going to go back in, and I believe on this next one I finish him off. Just fast forward a little bit because there's not much to say. I just want to air the video for, you know, closure. I know for some people it's all about seeing like, hey, did you actually get him down? So yeah, I'm just really glad I don't have to do this path. I think that in concept, this fight could be really, really cool. I think that it's not hard, right? King Groot's not the worst. Willpower healing keeps you safe. I think my major issue with this fight is in just like the limited amount of options, right? Like, because it's Thunderstruck, it's so incredibly annoying. I just wish, like, I don't know how else to do it. Like, I wish that the node allowed you to bring any champion, I guess, is what I want. I wish the node gave you access to some kind of shock. And I know there's a power boost that gives any tech champion the ability to shock. I don't know if that applies here. I don't think it does, but the fight itself is really, really cool, right? Like, it's just a long, tedious fight that tests your patience and your ability of consistency. And I think that in itself is really well generated. It's just that when you look at your list of options, you've got what, like Nebula, Hulkbuster, Doom, a really small pool of champions. I think rather than do Power Sting, it would have been cool if, you know, on parry, they made it so your champion placed a shock debuff on King Groot, and then Thunderstruck, and then made it so you can't throw specials at all, right? Like, the player is permanently power locked. I think that would be cool. That way you're completely reliant on the parry mechanic. And then you can play the fight as is, right? Relying on the parries or maybe heavies to trigger the shocks the same way Hulkbuster is. And then you can use anyone. And then the fight is balanced overall. And it's actually really, really cool. And then maybe just like find a way beyond that to limit it, you know, to certain champions. Like, Maybe you don't want people to bring Domino in because she's got a crazy amount of burst damage or Cap Infinity War and stuff. So maybe you make it so there's like a bleed node here or something, so it's limited to bleed champions, but then there's still a really, really good large selection or incinerate immunity or something, but then everybody has access to shock, and the fight's not as frustrating because of roster limitation, but the mechanics behind the fight are really cool. I think that's something I've really, really noticed in 6.4 is a lot of the mechanics of the fight, the concepts behind how they want the fight to go when you bring one of the answers in, it's like really, really awesome. But the frustration behind the RPG element of like having to bring XYZ champion just feels really bad. So there's a balance there, and I think it's just a matter of finding it. So those are my thoughts. Just kind of as I wrap up this fight, you can see I've got him down to 7%. I'm actually going to go full greed and throw my special 1. I see he's in the corner. I'm going to go ahead and heavy chain. He could have thrown a special 1 there and punished me. He did not. Lucky me. But yeah, I did manage to get the 6.4.2 Groot down. King Groot, for those of you who, you know, maybe wanted to see it. But that's it. As always, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you all later. Peace.